Satnam, Japa Jot Kaur, hello and welcome. And Satnam, everyone, yogis, yoginis, hello and welcome to another conversation. Today we have Japa Jot Kaur with us that she contacted me and said that we could have a conversation, and I thought it was a great idea. So we're going to do a little collab today, a collaboration, and we're going to have a conversation today, the two of us, and it will be on a few topics, and we were going to talk a little bit on this channel, and then we were going to continue the conversation on her channel. But first of all, welcome, Japa Jot.
Thank you, Satnam, Ardaas Singh. Thank you for this conversation with you.
Wahiro. So just to begin the conversation before we start talking about the main topic, people who connect to this channel generally know me, but they would like to know more about you. So can you introduce yourself? Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Okay, yeah. I am Kundalini Yoga teacher, level 2, and just started level 3. And also a musician and entrepreneur and mother of 2 wonderful daughters. And I'm just in the middle of Germany. Yeah.
Yeah, we have that.
Karan Kriya. I'm doing Karan Kriya, and I think that's mainly it.
Yeah, we have many things in common, right? 2 daughters, and we love music, and we do Karan Kriya, right? Did you do something before you started doing Kundalini Yoga?
Did I do something?
Like professionally, what were you doing before being a teacher?
Yeah, I do what I still do. Actually, I'm running a hotel. It's a 4-star hotel for families with children, and it used to be a farm like 2 generations ago. It's all in family hand. Nice. For long, and yeah, I'm the one. Like for 18 years, I have been running it now, and yeah, that's my daily practice as well.
That's excellent. I have one student here in Portugal who did the level 1 with us as well, and she also had a hotel. And throughout the level 1, she started to include some of the concepts from yoga in the hotel, and started with some like fresh juices in the morning, and then including some yoga for guests and things like that. Have you also kind of brought some of the teachings to your hotel?
Yes. It's becoming more and more vegetarian and vegan. And I'm giving yoga lessons. I have been done that for several years now, and meditations, and even family yoga. Nice. Doing some mantras, like sitting in the lounge and playing the guitar. And lots of other things, like working with frequencies, and even just the consciousness does a lot. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, there's not many hotels with that style, right? Mantras in the lounge, that sounds really good. Sounds like a good retreat. Later you can give us your socials, and I will post everything in the description below the video. I will put some of Japa Jot's socials and the hotel, so if anybody wants to contact you, can contact you. So today we have a few topics to discuss, and first of all, we have this thing in common about music. We share a strong interest on music. So when did it start for you?
Well, I always liked singing, but like, I don't know, six years ago or something, I realized, wow, this singing, like in the car or under the shower. There is a difference between before I sang and 1 hour or 10 minutes later. It does something, and it's like lifting me up. And so I asked someone, do you know where I can improve my singing, like professionally maybe? And she brought me to someone, and he said, okay, do you play an instrument? And I said, no. And he said, okay, guitar or keyboard, choose. And I said, oh, guitar sounds very sympathetic. So that's how I came to the guitar. And never asked for singing teaching, because it just came with playing the guitar.
Yeah, I find a lot of yogis within our, I mean, we both practice Kundalini yoga, right? As taught by Yogi Bhajan. And in our tradition, there is a lot of good singers. I think that we give a lot of emphasis to the voice, to music, to sound, what we call nat. And so how often do we find teachers who also play the guitar or harmonium, right? And we just love singing all the time. I think it's something quite specific from our tradition, right?
Yes. Yes, I didn't realize at first that it's so much about singing. It just came naturally with Kundalini Yoga, and actually I love it. It's a very special and important part of Kundalini Yoga for me.
Yeah, and I think it really helps. I mean, and not just as a yogi, but also as a teacher, right? Teaching is about your voice. Your voice is your instrument, is the instrument that you use to direct the class. But if we use it as an instrument also for music, then it prepares us to be better teachers. It's good for our projection and mastery of ourselves. Our voice is what comes out through our mouth. This is about us. So the closest thing to our true self comes through our mouth. Even if the words we may say, sometimes we may say something else, but you can feel it in the voice, you can hear it in the sound, you can feel the emotion, the soul is behind the voice. So working even this idea of wanting to learn more singing or even professional singing, I think it's really useful to develop the instrument and to help us be better teacher as well.
Yeah. And also like the singing came with singing. I mean, it's like fake it to make it. And I remember like 2 years ago, a friend of mine who is a musician, he's not a Kundalini yogi, but he said, really, believe me, I know about it. You can't sing, really. But I just didn't get confused because I loved it. And I thought, okay, then I'll improve anyway. So I kept on singing and it's improving. And every week I have new guests, and so every week I have new yoga students.
Right.
And my meditation is always a celestial communication. So there's always singing to tune in, singing the celestial communication, and then chanting the May the Long Time Sun and Sadhana. So, and that's where a lot of people, most of the people, are really afraid for. So it's a lot about, come on, huh? Nobody knows you here. Like next week, you won't meet any one of those who are here now and on holidays. So give it all, like bring yourself in and just do it like your children do. I mean, they all have their children with them. So they are very good examples for them, for devotion and courage. Yeah, and I love it when more and more people go on with the chanting, like follow, and it can be very powerful and what you call it, like it makes them free of this border.
Let's talk about that. I'm interested in psychology as well. And yeah, let's identify, let's maybe verbalize a little bit more. What is this border? What is this fear that people feel? And how is it so strong, the singing? You can sometimes, some people are really afraid of speaking in public in general, but some people would not mind speaking in public, but if you ask them to sing, they will really paralyze. So have you see different students every week? I'm sure you have a lot of this. So have you identified and understood a little bit of what is behind that fear, and how do you help them to get out of that?
I think it's a lot about this. You can't really do it a bit. You can't really like sing. Oh no, it wouldn't sound well, and that so you have to bring yourself really in. So it's you can't do half a step. You have to really do a step, and that's it needs courage. So maybe that's something for next year, 2026, about the 10, the number for courage. Yeah, so that, and also like in the childhood, we hear something like, okay, you really need a talent to sing. That's the story, yeah, isn't it? You need to have a talent. It's not that anybody can sing or could learn to sing. Yeah, it was really, for me, it was a few years ago, I realized I could learn anything. Anything. I mean, some things would take like 3 lifetimes or something, but in basically, I can learn. Everybody can actually learn everything theoretically. I would say.
It's funny.
And that was I mean, that helped me keeping up learning the guitar, because it was very hard in the beginning. But I just believed I will learn it someday. If I keep on practicing, there could be no other way than that one day, whenever, I will be able to do it.
Yeah, and you are saying, maybe it takes us 3 lifetimes, but maybe you have already been 3 lifetimes a singer, and it's just rediscovering this life. But it's interesting that you phrase it like that, because I had a journey through my relationship with music. I used to be a musician when I was a kid. I studied classical music. I studied classical singing and saxophone, and I used to play with bands. And there was a time when I was 17 that I had to make the choice whether I would become a professional musician or something else. And I remember, most of my friends stayed as professional musicians, which was quite, it wasn't an easy choice, because it meant leaving Mallorca, leaving my home, leaving my family, and leaving all my friends, really, basically, behind. And maybe that was part of the appeal to go into the wild, go into the unknown, and discover myself. And certainly that was part of the reason why I chose not to pursue the professional music career. But there was another thing of it, something that I now see differently. One was that I was clearly not gifted. And you see these kids who are incredible. And I mean, some of them are, everything takes time and effort and energy. So as you are saying, if we just study this, we're going to get it, right? And some kids are just pressured by their family since they are very little. And of course, they become good at it because they dedicate an enormous amount of time. And I don't even mean those kids, but I mean those kids who are just gifted. And maybe it's just simple that maybe they were just extraordinary musicians in another life. They come into this one and it's a gift to them. So it could be that, no? But I could recognize myself being 17 at the time and looking at some kids who are younger than me, and they were so much better in another level. And I knew that for me to get there, it was going to be so hard for something that for them it was much easier. And I thought, well, okay, this is certainly not my gift. So I'm going to go into the world and explore something else that I'm good at. Now I see it differently. I think that being gifted at something is not so important. It's not so important, and it is important at the same time, but it's not so important because it's not about you playing well at all. No, it's not about having a good voice and having the perfect pitch and listening to a song and being able to write it down, just from listening it once. It's not about that at all. It's about how you feel when you are singing and where it takes you, the feeling that you get in you when you are singing and what happens as a result of that. At the same time, yes, we do have gifts. And I believe some gifts are there, like gifts, let's say from another life or whatever, is our dharma. And in a way, those gifts are there for us to integrate into the path that we have in this lifetime. And so they are going to be guiding us somehow towards our destiny. So it's not about ignoring our gifts. It's about recognizing what we are good at, but also not to leave anything behind just because we are not good at it. And so understand that the benefit that we get from something is not about being good at it. Art is another good example, and music is about art as well. But there's a lot of people who say, I cannot draw, just like many people who say, I cannot sing. And it's basically the same. It's not about being a Picasso. It's not about that. It's about what happens within you when we paint and when we sing, right?
Yes, and also, I mean, you're a Kundalini yoga teacher, I'm a teacher, and I 1.5 years after I started playing guitar, so I was still kind of beginner, I gave this online course for guitar beginners for Kundalini yoga mantras. And I talked to some others about it that play really well, like 10 times better than me, the guitar. And they said, yes, do it, because I couldn't show anybody or explain how I do it. I just could do it somehow. And I was the one who really had to learn it step by step. And I can like explain how to anticipate, how to do it like from the beginning. And that's hard for people that just have the gift. So somehow not having the gift to play it is the gift to being able to teach it even better.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the gift is about teaching, right?
Yeah.
Being able to, take something else, something new, and in 1.5 years of learning it, teaching it. And also because we know that as we teach, that's the best way to learn it. So that
Yes.
we learn that, right? But yeah, I recognize also that idea to the yoga. I mean, I could be teaching a yoga class and the students could be so much more flexible than me and being able to really go deep into these postures that I cannot do. So, and sometimes I understand the feeling, this feeling that, what am I doing here? The imposter syndrome, these people are so much better than me. But yeah, this is the idea that we have to get out of. It's not about being better or good at singing, dancing, painting, or doing yoga, but what happens within us as we are doing it.
Yes, and you wouldn't really be able to be compassionate, like authentically compassionate with them, if it's so easy for you. Like if you never really had these problems that most of the yoga students have, like with the flexibility or anything. And once you yourself had these problems, you can really understand and be empathetic and explain what really helps.
Right. Mm-hmm. So what really helps? You have somebody new coming to your hotel and they are with this fear of singing. Do they even need to explore and understand where the fear comes from? Or can they just go and sing? I mean, would you actually explore the fear or would you just go and sing?
I'm not really getting into the psychological topics or anything. It's more like we're here having fun, relaxing. And I found out that with some people, they really want to go deep. But most of the people, at least 80%, they're just there to relax, to find a bit of a heal world for some days at least. And with them, it really works. What is not, where the mind doesn't have to be called. Like we have these frequencies with the healing stones. I don't know what you call them. Like the frequencies from there and 432 hertz music and special harmonic water through the hotel. Like you were swimming in the pool in this water, and it just does something. But you won't have to understand. You don't have to explain. It just works, and just the mind wouldn't realize. So that's what really helps. So I just keep them up. Like, okay, so if you're not the singer, usually now it's your turn. Or if you're told that you don't have a gift, so please sing false and sing absolutely incorrectly, and sing like a child, naive, but sing. and that really helps. Like, it's like the niveau is, it's easy. Like, it's easy. This is not about being perfect. It's just, come on, let's have some fun, and that kind of helps most of the people. Not everyone would join, but most of them do.
Yeah, there's these barriers, no? We were talking before. This is about the ego, telling me I don't have a good voice, or I don't know how to sing. Yeah, you are saying that most people just need to relax, or just want to relax, no, when they come to the hotel. And that's interesting, that the ego is a sort of tension. Yeah, ego implies a certain kind of tension on the perception, on our understanding, on our view of ourselves. And so they come to the hotel and they just come in the mood for relaxing, and you set everything up with the sound of the stones, of the water, and all these things that you have set up in your hotel, which is making me want to go there, by the way. You have set it up, the atmosphere, for them to relax, and the moment that you can relax, also maybe the barriers that the ego has created can also relax and soften a little bit, no? Yes. That's when something mystical, something else can happen, that we are not beyond the rational mind, what the rational mind likes and accepts, no?
Mm-hmm. So did you find out what barriers are there, like psychological borders to step into really singing?
I don't know. I never thought about it. But as we were speaking, I was curious. Maybe we can explore it a little bit more. Mm-hmm. I mean, part of it is, a big deal of it is shame. I think of all the mind games, of the five, what we call the five evils, pride, ahankar, right? That's the biggest one of all. And pride comes with shame. Inevitably, they both go hand in hand. Just like the feeling of guilt and the feeling of victim go together. No, pride and shame, and guilt and victim. Mm-hmm. And so that's one element. And just before we move, I can identify other elements before we move to another, to recognize that there's something that Chanting says sometimes. I remember in a course many years ago, and I wrote it down in my notebook. Haven't heard of it from him again, but I remember this note very clearly. He said, pride is the ego mind's substitute of the dignity of the soul. And shame is the ego mind's substitute of the humility of the soul. Mm-hmm. So we don't remember how to be humble. So we feel ashamed. And we make ourselves small from the perspective of the ego, no? I don't deserve something, no, it's not for me. And we make ourselves little, no? So there is this aspect of shame, and we are afraid of being ashamed and being people pointing at us. And so we hide. So that's one aspect, no? That sometimes somebody who will not sing because they are hiding. And that's one thing. Another thing is, when we sing, more than when we speak, we really have to put pressure in the voice. Like you were saying, we cannot sing softly. You have to project. And when you put really pressure, then your air flows much stronger. And the air is the spirit. You know, when we inhale, inspire, inspirar in Spanish, right? We bring the spirit in. So within the air, there's the spirit. And so when we really chant, then we are much more in contact with our own spirit. And also, if it's something that we are not used to doing, it forces us to be awake. We cannot just sing like lazily. If we are in a place like a hotel, I don't know this place, what's going on, there is this lady with a guitar, what is she singing, I've never sung this before. And so you cannot do it like lazily. You have to pay attention, you have to be conscious. So consciousness becomes also involved in the activity. So now you are being conscious, you are bringing your spirit, you are facing your shame and overcoming it, but then you still feel the humble, the humble me inside. Maybe you don't know how to project. So I can imagine that there is all these things in play. Maybe there is more factors. Have you thought of other factors?
Yeah, actually, I just remember that sometimes, a few times actually, I'm singing the Ong Namo, and some people might join. And then when I finished, I see people crying. I see like tears dropping down. And sometimes they tell me later on, like, this was what we did when we prepared for birth. Or, I don't know, I've never had, can you tell me what's the name of the mantra? Because it touched me so much. Mm. So that, especially with the Ong Namo, actually, it happens. And yeah, that's also like showing yourself and opening your heart, just as you said, inspire and being inspired. And that's very touching. I'm always very thankful, very grateful for these moments, because then I know, okay, this person has opened up her heart.
Yeah, because it's not just about singing, right? It's like drawing. You can learn to draw, or you can draw mandala, right? It's not just about singing. You're singing these mantras, which have this incredible power behind, and they've been chanted for thousands of years, and they have a special a special presence, magical, intelligent presence behind those sounds. And just chanting that is going to have a profound effect. And even if you don't understand what it means, maybe even especially because we don't understand what it means, we don't interpret it. And so the rational mind, which is linked to the ego, is not active. And then you can just allow the experience to happen, and that's when you touch something deeper. No?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also there was a child in a wheelchair. I did the family yoga with I am happy, I am good. And a year later, they came back and they asked me, will you do this again? Because my daughter is singing it every day. She's been singing it every day since then. And that was like, wow, why you gonna? And another time there was a mother who wrote me, and she had one child but wanted to become pregnant again, and it just didn't work. And we did the Sare Sasa and as celestial, like 11 minutes. And she felt that this would correspond with her uterus. And so she did it at home for some days or weeks. I don't remember, but she wrote it to me. And then she became pregnant.
Wow.
And she could feel that it was connected to the mantra. And so she asked me, can you please, a friend of mine wants to become pregnant. Can you please do this meditation again in a few months, then and then? And yeah.
It's very funny because when I was running level ones in Spain before I moved to Portugal, in every level one that we did, some student would get pregnant. And sometimes more than one. And in the last training I did, there were 3 people getting 3 pregnant, 2 women in the course and one the wife of the guy who was in the course. So it's like they were like, "What is in the water? What do you put in the water?" That's the thing with the chanting mantras. Quite beautiful because this mantra, the Sare Sasa, is called Antarnat, no? So the inner sound. So that's quite beautiful that the baby gets to grow inside, no? The inner baby, the inner sound. That's quite beautiful. Very nice. I think it's also, you start chanting and then this relaxation we were talking about, then as you relax, you are also more fertile. Fertile for good ideas, fertile for good projects, fertile for your creativity, but also physically fertile and to have babies. So that's quite nice. So what would you recommend? I remember there was a message in the channel from, I think it was last week, one of the viewers of the channel said that she and her husband were just starting to chant. They had never chanted mantras before, and after seeing some video in the channel, they had decided to start practicing. What would you recommend to somebody who is just starting how to approach music and chanting?
I find it easy with the children because it's like there's not much pressure. With the children, you just chant. Like when I do family yoga and I do this, I am happy, I am good, I encourage, of course, the children to join, and the parents will do as good example to encourage the children, and so they happen to be singing. and also, why not start under the shower or like with yourself, so that you can get more confident, and next time sing like online, do some online kirtan, and your sound will be off, but you can sing, you can chant, and no one will hear you, but you yourself will hear you, and listening to yourself is also like a special technique, So it's already healing and uplifting, I'd say. Even though you might not be singing perfectly, lovely, whatever, And also my voice became higher. I could improve singing higher, and once I'm in a sangat, like from day to day, I can push the Kapodasta one tone higher each day or even each hour, because of, I don't know, the frequency. It just happens. It doesn't work. The tone, I usually sing it after some days of practice in the community. And that's very helpful, because there are a lot of people chanting, and you won't be the only one, and it's just one out of 10 or 20 or 30 voices, and it's, I think it's very important to do the first step. Like, okay, pray for courage, and then just sing with devotion, as if you had never done anything else than singing all day long, and then it will come.
Nice. Excellent. Well, good suggestions. And with groups, with kirtan, by yourself, and listen to your voice, and with children. Children are great because they don't have the ego barriers yet, so they are very open to doing it. That's excellent. Thank you very much. That was really good points. And as we talked, we had this little bit of conversation. I feel like we are ready to talk about the second topic. So if anybody is interested to continue watching us and listen to our conversation, we're going to talk on the second channel, on Japa Jot's channel, about Kundalini. We're going to be talking about the Kundalini. So if anybody's interested, please tune in to her channel, and I will give the links below and listen about that. Where can they find you, Japa Jot? Do you want to give us some your socials or something? I will put them in the description below, but if you want to say something if they want to contact you.
My hotel can be found under Ebbinghof, which is EBBINGHOF.com. It's also in English, if you like. And I'm on Telegram. You will find me with Japa Jot, and you will also find on YouTube with Japa Jot. It's JAPAJOT. And there's the Kundalini Sangat, which is a project on Telegram where we put all the Kundalini yoga stuff and all the topics. And you can find orientation. That's all in German, so anybody listening to this in German, that could be very interesting for orientation in the Kundalini Yoga jungle.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Well, thank you for this stay here with me, and for everybody else, I invite you to tune into her channel. I put the link below. Thank you, everyone. Until next time, Sadam.
Thank you, Ardaas Singh. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Um,